Hey guys, it's Celeste. I meant to film this yesterday and I came home and I was tired, so I didn't do it. So here I am today. And it was a busy, hot day. So, sorry if I'm a little low energy, and I know I'm like in a tank top, kind of relaxed with the bun head and all that. But I wanted to talk about the summer bingo that my book group is doing. Not really a book club in the sense that we are mean about it, or it's like a book report you have to do every month. We like to think of ourselves more as like a literary society, right? Because we talk about other things besides the one book that we picked at the previous meeting. So anyway, oh, you might hear my son playing his video games in the background. So anyway, on the bingo card, we used an online buzzword bingo generator, and I'll look for it and give you the link for the link. I'm not going to give you the link to the one we made because some of the squares that we were covering were specific to our club, right? And so you wouldn't be able to do ours. For example, like one of the ones I'm going to talk about in a minute is covering a square from an author that was previously read in our club. Well, if you're not part of our club and you don't have the notes, you don't know what books we've read in the past, so you don't have access to that. So there's no point in you having our card, but you can make your own. And there's lots of other like cool bingo cards to use as inspiration, and we're kind of enjoying it. Now, I already have a bingo. We started this at the beginning of June, and I think we made it official about June 7th or 8th or 9th, somewhere in that area, like that beginning part of June. And we're continuing ours into the beginning of September. So it'll go to like September the 12th, I think. And so I personally read so much that I was like, yeah, I'm going to go for a bingo. I'm actually going to go for a blackout. So I'm going to try to read enough books to cover my whole set of squares. This is my clean copy, and then I have notes in like my reading journal. But I don't really want to talk about the books that I've read, or, in every single square that we have. I'm just going to talk about the ones I have left to do. Cool. So, the square that I just mentioned was read from an author that was previously read in our book group, meaning that you got to find an author that we've read before, that like we read that month, and then read another of their works, like something from their backlist or whatever. So earlier this year, my son's going crazy. Earlier this year, we read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. So to read from a previously read author from our book group, I'm going to read Take a Hint, Danny Brown, right? So I'm going to read from Talia Hibbert again. Okay, because I've had this and I've been meaning to read it, and it'll like serve the purpose of also covering that square. Okay, another square that I have that needs to be covered in order for me to do a blackout on my bingo card is read a book with a color in the title. Okay, so for that, I have decided to read A Court of Silver Flames, okay, by Sarah J. Maas. I picked it up like right when it came out, and I haven't gotten to it yet. And I kind of told myself, I'll get to it in the summer. This is like good summer romantic fantasy, fae, politics, and all that good stuff. I've read all the others. In fact, I read the others as soon as they came out. And so, if you want to know what I think of the cover change, I think, no, I don't like this style of the covers that they're doing. No. Okay, another square that I have yet to cover is to read a book that was turned into a movie or a TV show. And for that square, I'm going to read Howl's Moving Castle. I'm a little embarrassed to say I've never read it, and I've never watched it. So I have it in my Amazon, and I just need to read this and then, watch it. And so it's it's not very, you know, it's written for younger readers. Oh, you can't see that. But it's written for younger readers, so I feel like it won't take me long. I just got to make myself do it. So it's another thing that's been on my shelves that I need to read. Another square that I need to cover still, and you're like, dang, Celeste, have you covered any squares? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Okay. But another one that I need to cover is to read a Booker Prize winner or one that was on the short list. And so for this, what I had to do is I had to go on Wikipedia and look up the Booker winners and the short list that goes with the winners, and think, do I have that book? Do I have that book? Do I have that book? And the problem that I was finding is I've read quite a few, actually. I didn't realize I had read so many shortlist or Booker winners, but I have. And so I looked at ones that I hadn't read and that I already owned, because I'm trying to get through some of the stuff that's on the shelf that I haven't read yet. And so I found that I have a copy of To Rise Again at a Decent Hour by Joshua Ferris. I don't know anything about this. Like, I could tell you a little bit about, you know, Court of Silver Flames, right? Or I could say, oh yeah, I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown, so we're following another Brown sister. And in Howl's Moving Castle, I'm like, it was an anime movie, right? This, I don't know. I really don't. But it's been on my shelf for a long time, that I think. And it also says shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize. So I don't even have to like go to Wikipedia and double check that. The book is verifying it for me. Thank you, book. So I guess I'll let you know what that is about, even at all. I mean, I guess I could have read the back to you, but you don't want me to read the back to you. Okay. Another square. Okay. Two more squares. I think 2 or 3 more squares I'm going to talk about, and then I'll be done. One more square is to read a book with royalty. Yes, that includes royalty. Okay, so kings, queens, dukes, duchesses, marquesses, right? Like we're gonna deal with royalty. And so, and this is embarrassing because it still has a Target sticker on it, but I picked up American Royals. So American Royals, all I know about this is like, okay, if you study American history, like back into the Revolutionary Wars won, and they're establishing the government, right? And it's like, hey, George Washington, you were awesome. He was like the MVP at that moment, at that time. And they're like, hey, would you consider being our king? And he's like, no, I'm be a president, and I'm only going to serve 1 term, right? But this book is, what if he said, sure, and then carries on from there. And so what we're dealing with is a royal family in America, and they're the Washingtons, right? And so I think it's got sort of like, you know, gossipy, political, I don't know. But the premise sounded interesting, and the book cover was kind of neat looking, and I was like, yes. Okay. Another that I have that I need to read is to read the second book of either a series, a trilogy, a duology, like a set, right? It doesn't matter how big the set is, but just to read the second one, because in our book group, many of us have done this thing where we've read the first of a series and not gotten to the second book. And when I looked on my shelves and looked at my Goodreads and looked at what I had read the first of a series and not moved on to the second, I was a bit embarrassed. I was like, what are you doing? Why aren't you reading these books? In a lot of cases, I owned the books and I still hadn't gotten to them. So boo on me. And there's a couple of cases in which I have the third book and I haven't read a third book. So that's also embarrassing, and I'm not going to talk about the details on that. But the book to cover that square, the second in, you know, a series, a trilogy, a duology, I've chosen, out of the many, Wind Witch, okay, by Susan Dennard. Now, it's a little surprising because I did not like Truth Witch. Like, I didn't like it. Like, I did not jive with it. It took me forever to finish it. there were several issues that I had, pacing issues, character issues, world building issues, the whole, like, you know, basically the important things in a fantasy like this. And so what happened was I started watching the Witchlands Along videos and listening to those lovely people talk about what they thought. And so it kind of sucked me in. I haven't watched all the videos because I didn't want to be spoiled for any of them that I hadn't gotten to yet, but it kind of inspired me enough that I'm like, A, I'm not alone in some of the things I was thinking about these books, and B, they're not okay. Like, there's stuff happening. There's characters I'm interested in. So I'm going to keep going on, and I also have this book. Okay, so it's like, hey, read this second book to this series that you have on your shelf, right? So those are the books I wanted to talk about in this video. Maybe, I don't know, let me know in the comments if you want to hear about any of the other books that I read for some of the other squares and stuff, or what some of the other squares are, like if you want to make one of your own. Again, some of them won't work for you. I think I mentioned the other day when I was talking about Firekeeper's Daughter, is that one is also covering a square because the square was to read something by an author of Indigenous or First Nation heritage, and so that's what led me to seek out those books, and so that was kind of part of what we're doing with our bingo game. But anyway, now I'm just rambling into other stuff. So let me know what you think. Have you read these books? Are you interested in these books? Is there anything I need to be worried about? Also, have you done this? Have you done like a book bingo type thing? Like, this is with like real life friends that we're doing this from, you know, the beginning of June into September. So like, we just met yesterday and kind of talked about where we were with it and like what books we wanted to cover. And it's like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Right. So like, I'm just using it to like clear my shelves, but it's almost making things worse. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.